Hello, so time for another live stream. As said, apologies, I didn't do one last night, but I really needed a break from doing live streams, especially because my UC was being quite painful recently. But I'll stream for an hour now. I was thinking about doing a video game live stream today, but then I thought I'll just do a webcam one because more people watch those. And I've got the new helmets and all that come. So this is a Polish M51 helmet, apparently, which was a helmet Poland used during the Cold War. Pretty similar to a lot of the other Soviet helmets, as you can see. I've also got another helmet I'll show you when a few more people get on that came yesterday. So yeah, good day to everybody. Hope you're all right. I'm doing a lot better today, so that's good. What do you mean, what school do you have and where do you work? Pretty much. I mean, as it's called an M51, I assume it predates the SSH-68. So it's probably closer to the SSH-40. But again, I'm not massively into helmets, so somebody who really knows a lot about helmets would have to answer that. But yeah, it's the standard steel pot, not too dissimilar from a USM1 helmet, to be honest. The rims on it are a little bit different, but looks like it offers pretty good head protection for an old steel pot. Standard like leather buckle and thing, you know, like you'd get on a belt. When I got the DP66 Ghost, bear in mind this was a few years ago, I think the DP66M was like somewhere in the £60 to £80 mark. I can't remember the exact price, but I know now a lot of them are like over £100 or £200. So personally, I wouldn't really pay that for them. And I think if you're paying that sort of money, you either get a really good scientific Geiger counter like that one, or get a SOXO1M. Yeah, a lot of them are like that because obviously a lot of the communist bloc helmets are pretty much the same things. They just got the Soviet designs and maybe put slightly different liners in or whatever. Obviously, the East German M56 are probably the most interesting of some of the, you know, Eastern Bloc helmets because they're the most different from the Soviet ones. Yeah, a lot better today. Thank you, Sick Dog. That's a shame. Is there any way you could repair that? Because I suppose for £60, if you could repair it, you'd save a lot of money, wouldn't you? Yeah, that's a Polish helmet. This name cannot be insulted. It's a Polish M51, apparently, which I'm guessing, if I look it up, is basically probably a clone of the SSH-40. I'm just looking at pictures of the SSH-40. Yeah, from what I can tell from looking on Google Images, it's an SSH-40 with a different liner system in it, but the rivets and like the shape of it look exactly the same. There we go. It's the Polish copy of an SSH-40 as far as I can tell. I wasn't on the stream yesterday, so you couldn't have been on my stream yesterday. Yeah, Polish M51, but as we were saying, it's basically a Soviet SSH-40. No army blankets. Amazon's fine, depends what you're buying from them. Or do you mean the Amazon rainforest? Yeah, thanks. It's not evening yet, is it, Richard? It's only 1:30, so afternoon. But yeah, it seems to be, thankfully. There was a bit of pain yesterday, but I think having a good long nap in the afternoon did me good, to be honest, just to recover a lot of energy. Because obviously I'll be working at the weekend. But yeah, I had a bit of pain yesterday evening, but nothing serious, and at least I was responding to painkillers yesterday evening. Today, when I got up, I just took a very low dose of painkillers, and so far my stomach's been absolutely fine. What period do you mean by those days? This name cannot be insulted. Lots of communist countries used the Shum 41 or variants. East Germany did. Poland did. Obviously, the Soviet Union did. So that's the one that, you know, looks like a GP5, or the GP5 looks like the Shum 41, just with a longer metal sort of intake XL valve bit. What about the East German helmet? They're completely different. That's all right, Rich. Yeah, so for the most part, if you look up SHM 41, SHM 41, that was a mask pretty much all the Warsaw Pact armies used for standard soldiers. Generally, you can find East German ones for sale, but they sometimes call them SCHM 41, but it's the exact same mask. Also, Polish OM 14 is the exact same mask as well. Yeah, as I say, helmets don't fog up. Other than putting some sort of anti-fog paste on the inside, not much other than trying to breathe as slowly as possible. Something to do with a museum, I reckon, David, and like all sorts of military in a museum, but I don't really know. This is very creaky liner, by the way. I don't know if the mic's picking that up, but because it's right next to my ears, I can constantly hear when my chin moves it going like. No, I don't have a SHM 1. As I said, I have a SHM 41, the Polish variants of it, and lots of the others, but I don't actually have a SHM 1. Yeah, it is 7.62. If you look up the very late war Stahlhelms that Hitler didn't want put into production, that is very similar to the East German helmets. Although technically East German, I think it was called the M54 helmet they had before the M56, and that's the closest one to the Nazi design. And then the M56 is that, but made a bit more conical. And obviously the cone shape of the M56 helmet is what gives it the better protection, because it means that shrapnel and things are more likely to glance off rather than find a way to go straight through. The Polish OM 14 was used by pretty much all the Polish army throughout the Cold War. Obviously, they had the specialized masks like all the other Warsaw Pact nations did, but the OM 14 and MUA were like the standard Polish infantry masks. Yeah, that's a very good point Richard's made, because that would be a lot better than the old sort of surplus anti-fog paste you get in some of the mask bags. Also, don't forget to like the stream, everybody. At the moment, it says there's 18 people on 7 likes, so let's try and improve that ratio, please. No, GP5 is a civilian mask, so that wasn't used for military stuff. I mean, whether or not some countries now use them as like training masks, I don't know. But the GP5 was purely intended for civilian use. It would technically be considered Warsaw Pact if it was produced in the Soviet Union before the Soviet Union collapsed. No, GP7 was not a military one, because if it has GP in the name, it means it's civil. The PMK one is the military one. GP7 has the round eyepieces and is intended for civilian use. All right, Peach, or video base, whatever you want to be called. The GP5M, that one there, is the only one that could be considered a military one, but it was technically called the PMG2 if it was used in military service, not GP5. So, you know, there's all that sort of stuff. But yeah, easy way of doing it. With Soviet masks, if it's called GP, it means it's for civilian use. If it's called like SHM or PMG or whatever, it's a military mask. Now, I have to look at what that is, Zalgo, but I definitely don't have one because I don't recognize the name. The only thing coming up when I search that is like aircrafts and things like that. So I really don't know what you're on about there. You have to explain a bit more. No, didn't even know that was a thing, Commissar, but no, I'm not going. If that's any time soon, I'll be working, unfortunately. I'll show you the other helmet I've got. It's still got the liner in. Not liner, like the original label. So I don't want to take this out until after I've done a video on it. But there you go. Polish Fire Brigade helmet. I was saying it looks a bit like a French Adrian helmet, but I don't know if it is or it's just like a generic fireman's helmet but made out of aluminium or whatever it is. So I'll put this one on and show you. It's going to be quite difficult to get the, there we go, bit out of there, because obviously these straps are a bit old but not really used. As you can see, shaved my hair the other day, so all this stuff fits on a lot nicer. That's what I was doing yesterday when I wasn't streaming. Helmet like to roll off my bed there. Never mind, it's fine because it's a steel pot, didn't hit me on the foot. Right, let's undo the buckle on this. Yeah, I exercise. Yeah, there's loads of Chinese copies of other masks, so it'd be rare to see a Chinese mask that they haven't copied from some other design, to a little extent at least. Right. Obviously, I assume the big bit there is the bit that goes on your head the forward way to protect you from bricks and stuff falling down. The liner in this is a bit more comfortable. It's like a softer leather. Was that the US then? Well, before it was the US, Richard, when it was a colony. Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen those sort of colonial helmets. Let's just... I suppose it looks a bit like a Spanish conquistador helmet as well, doesn't it? Which is pretty cool. But and like the Portuguese equivalent of those as well. But is that a neck protector? We'll try it this way around and then we'll switch it around. I always assume this would be the big bit that's the visor to stop bricks and that falling on your face. But yeah, we'll flip it around in a minute. So yeah, you could be right. I'm not sure. But yeah, we'll try it the other way around in a bit. But yeah, it could be the neck protector. But I'm trying to work out, is this plastic or aluminium? I think it might even be plastic, this helmet. Yeah, let's try it the other way around. Now, the only dosimeter I've got from that period is the DKP 50, which is the Polish equivalent of the Soviet DKP 50, whatever it was called. Right, so yeah, try it that way around. You might be right, actually. I really don't know. I mean, the straps now are the correct way round, in a sense, but I suppose helmets can do the straps however they want. Yeah, if it's fireproof, exactly, and it protects your head from stuff. But yeah, I thought this was quite an interesting looking thing. I think this is probably just their own original mold, then, not an Adrian helmet. It's just, from the pictures, I thought it looked a little bit like an Adrian helmet. It's quite interesting. Right, problem is, because lots of these leather buckles have never been used, it's quite difficult getting the prong to go through the holes, because they've not sort of stretched out a bit. There we go. I won't bother doing that bit up. So yeah, that could be the neck protector. I'm not really sure, because it doesn't feel more comfortable one way round or the other. That is the right way to wear it, is it? Yeah. I think this may be plastic. But it would certainly protect you from like objects hitting it or whatever. And I suppose you can't get electrocuted with a plastic helmet on, can you? But... oh, that's cool, 762, didn't know that. I know East German AKs are meant to be very good. The MPI series, or whatever they're called. I know a lot of people like Yugoslav AKs as well. I suppose Yugoslav ones aren't technically Warsaw Pact, are they? Because Yugoslavia wasn't in it. If you want to just see the liner, that's what it looks like. And there's the ticket. That's interesting, Chris. Yeah. I wonder why they did them like that. Yeah, and here's the liner for this one. As you can see, the liner on this one's very similar to a German World War II helmet. Oh, look, they forgot to thread the bit through one of these bits. I'm not going to undo the string and do it now, but yeah, at some point I'll rethread that so all the bits of the helmet are on the thing. I actually quite like how this sits on your head, because it does come down quite low in terms of giving you quite a lot of forehead protection. Okay, is that to protect you from like flash damage to your eyes, whatever they call it, a bit like a welding helmet? That's quite a good idea for a fireman's mask or helmet. Yeah, I'm a fan of Bakelite. It's cool stuff, but I suppose that's just because we have modern plastics now, which are a bit different. But yeah, Bakelite's very cool. It's called an M51 helmet, apparently, but it's just the Polish copy, as far as I can tell, of a Soviet SSH-40 helmet. The ones pictured all had like an icon on the front, but sadly this one doesn't have it. It doesn't really matter, but I was hoping when I got it, it would have some kind of like infantry, you know, like insignia on it, but it doesn't matter. It's really hard to get this bit of the strap through at the moment because the leather's not exactly pristine. Luckily, it's not like falling apart or anything, but it is a bit, you know, quite sharp brims on this helmet. Imagine if you headbutted somebody, it would cut right into them. But yeah, I've not seen many ballistic tests on the Soviet helmets, but from what I understand, they're pretty similar to the American M1s in terms of stopping shrapnel pretty effectively and even things like 9mm. So it wouldn't be a bad steel pot helmet, especially because you can get these on eBay at the moment for like £12 each. £12 for a steel pot is very good if you just wanted one for like a general prepping protection purpose. Yeah, I've got a Yugoslav helmet as well, 7.62. I think mine's the M5985 or M5981 or something it's called, isn't it? Which is, I really like the liner in that one. But it's basically a German World War II Stahlhelm, but just cut a bit shorter. That's cool, Stug. I imagine you had to pay quite a lot for that, unfortunately, didn't you? Well, I mean, if you're really into that stuff, it doesn't matter. But I know not Yugo, sorry. I know German World War II stuff is very pricey. €100 isn't too bad, actually. I mean, I don't know if I'd pay that for a helmet, but if it's an actual German World War II one, that's, you know, not too bad, is it? Yeah, if it's free postage as well, €100, well, that's like £80, £90. Yeah, I suppose if you're really into German World War II stuff, that isn't too bad at all, considering I've seen a lot of those sort of helmets go for like hundreds and hundreds of pounds. In the UK, you can get the UK Armed Police copy of the Pasca, which is Kevlar 3A, for normally £30 to £50. Currently, that's like my go-to Kevlar helmet. Well, that cheap Chinese one, barely. If you were just using it for basic particle protection, it would work, but the vapor filters are so shit that if you put banana oil next to it while wearing it, it's probably like you only lose 2% of the smell of the banana oil. So I definitely wouldn't recommend it for anything where you want to block odors. And I mean, even block odors, not protect yourself from gas. If you want to buy a cheap Chinese mask, go for their copies of the 3M style masks, because they're a lot better in terms of half-face masks. But in terms of those, no, they're awful. The annoying thing is that mask does make an alright face seal once you get the straps done up properly. Because, you know, the inside is made from a rubbery material, but it's just a shame that, you know, the filters that come with it are complete trash. And it's not exactly a mask where you can swap the filters out. This doesn't move around too much on your head, which is nice. You get a bit of movement, but nothing too serious. Anyone's wondering why there's a plaster on that finger, it's because I was bitten yesterday. Yeah, TF1s are cheap. What's Nautilus's question mark for? So why do Aussie Disposals have a Serbian firefighter helmet then? Stalker from the zone. How does something like that turn up in Australia? Is that like an army surplus thing, or is it just a like reselling thing? Oh, just old surplus, yeah. My favourite World War II tank's probably the late model Shermans, just because the Shermans were actually very good tanks, despite what a lot of people reckon about them, in terms of, you know, like the kill-death ratios of Shermans and how mass-producible they were. Cold War tanks. Do you mean early Cold War or any period during the Cold War? Early Cold War, probably T-55s by a mile. Late Cold War, the later model T-72s or like Challenger 1s. I've never seen that channel, My Negative World. Might be interesting, but yeah, I've never heard of it. So yeah, there you go. I've answered you already then, but Yeah, early Cold War T-55s, late Cold War, late model T-72s or Challenger ones. I also like the late model M60s as well, because M60s are pretty good. That's interesting, isn't it? The AN-94 is a very interesting rifle, but I think it'd be a lot of work maintaining it, wouldn't it? Because that was why they never really got all that produced. Because from what I understand, they're very good for like special forces use, but they wouldn't trust a regular soldier of maintaining it properly, and like the cost of producing them and all that for regular soldiers. You can buy uranium ore from Australia, Gary, and then they ship it worldwide. And assuming that the customs in your country doesn't object to it, you can get uranium ore. Yeah, it's a very cool rifle, isn't it, Chris? Because I've watched quite a lot of videos where people show all the parts, and the two-shot burst, where it fires 2 rounds so quickly that the rifle doesn't have time to recoil. So in theory, you have 2 bullets hitting the exact same space. For armor penetration and stuff like that, sounds really good. But yeah, like saying, a lot of the problems is the mechanisms inside it is quite complex. So you wouldn't really want something like that for standard infantry use. Yeah, I've purchased 2 grenades, deactivated grenades. The Polish can't remember what the names of them are, but it's like the 2nd gen of a Polish grenade and the 3rd gen of a Polish grenade from... Let's see if I can find the actual... Yeah, it is basically the F1 grenade. So the Soviet F1, F2, F3 grenades, or if it's just might be the F1 like Gen 2 and all that. It's the Polish copies of the Soviet F1 grenades, and I've got 2 coming. I've got the 2nd gen, the 3rd gen, like this different paint on them, and I don't know if they'd have had a slightly different filler. Doesn't matter whether they're deactivated, but yeah, I've always really wanted some deact grenades, and I really like the look of Polish F1. Sorry, just like Soviet F1 grenades in general. So I'm pretty sure they're the defensive grenades, aren't they? Where you put the tripwire on the pin, so it blows up like a 50-yard radius or something. Oh no, Stalker, getting gulag now. Sadly, Escape from Tarkov's got a lot of microtransaction sort of stuff with it, so I have no interest. I really wish developers wouldn't do that. That's one way you can really turn me off a game, is to do a lot of the pay-to-win bullshit mechanics of pre-order this pack and you get all this gear, pre-order that pack and you get all that gear. Yeah, sadly, you don't see many Deact grenades, because yeah, like the RGD5's the other common Soviet one, isn't it? But yeah, like I was saying, so I've got some F1 grenades coming. But yeah, D&B Militario was where Mike found where I bought the deactivated guns from, the F1 grenades on there. But yeah, in theory, I suppose now and again they might get things like those grenades in. It's just, for the most part, they only had a couple of modern grenades. All the other grenades they had were like World War II and World War I grenades that were hundreds of pounds each. But, like the Cold War grenades were like 20-odd quid each. I always do that on a Friday exclusive zone because I don't stream in the evening on Fridays. So it's nothing new. World War II games. What have I been playing recently? I haven't really been playing much World War II stuff at all recently, saying that. I've got World War II games on my Steam library, but yeah, at the moment I've been mostly just playing Stalker. No, never even heard of that. I assume Panzer means it's something to do with tanks or armor, but no idea. Even though I know they're deactivated, I'm going to be a bit worried if I can pull the pin on those grenades for the few seconds until they're meant to blow. Because, of all those grenades, even though, yeah, they're deactivated, it is a bit nerve-wracking, isn't it, if you've got something like that and you pull the pin to see if it will go off. How can you deactivate a bayonet? Yeah, I've got Verdun. I'm not very good at the online bit, but the fighting against the bigger and bigger hordes of enemies with like playing with friends against the AI is pretty fun. Verdun's got very good gas mask mechanics as well. Yeah, Red Orchestra's good. I've got Red Orchestra 1, Red Orchestra 2, Rising Storm, and Rising Storm Vietnam. Yeah, like the very interesting one I find about that, Rich, is the air rifle that was developed during the musket era. I can't remember the name of it. It was like an Italian name. And it was like a combat air rifle where it had like a big PCP tank on it and you could fire a load of shots before you had to refill it using a bellows system. And like if you had an army equipped with those compared to an army equipped with muskets, the army of the air rifles would wipe the floor with them because they were both more accurate than the muskets and you could, fire quite a few shots before you had to reload. But again, the reason they weren't adapted, they were just too expensive and high maintenance compared to simple muskets. So it made more sense to just have more and more men armed with muskets and having elite troops with air rifles. Yeah, I've got Hearts of Iron 4. I prefer Hearts of Iron 3, to be honest. Helmet's a Polish M51 bobble suite, which, as far as I can tell, is just a Soviet SSH-40 helmet. But, obviously just made in Poland. But hopefully it's a job where you can watch it at work, Name, and you're not distracted. You've missed us talking about helmets for a bit and grenades. Hey, you're on lunch break, that's fine. Not that I really care, but, sometimes I have people say, oh, I'm driving and watching you, and you think, what the fuck are you doing? Don't watch something on your phone when you're meant to be driving. Yeah, I've got 2 coming, mate. They're just variants of the same grenade, but, like the V2 and the V3 version of the F1 grenades. But, yeah, so that was like £57 in total for the 2 grenades and the parcel courier fee. So that should come next week, I imagine. So I'll definitely do a video and show them in the streams. So yeah, 2 grenades, but 2 essentially the same grenades. So you're meant to be lowering the control rods, are you, Stalker, and instead you're watching me? And then you wonder how an RBMK reactor explodes. Let me search that one, Nautilus. For some reason, oh, is that a grenade? Because when I search that, I can't actually find anything related. But cool, whatever it is. It surprises me Russia, just to be honest, doesn't make copies of an AR-15, because they could easily get away with it, aren't they? What's America going to do? Sue them, But yeah, I mean, the AR platform is very, very good, especially for special forces. For quite a while, the SAS in Britain and quite a few of our other kind of special forces have used basically M16 style platform guns. Because I'm pretty sure the SAS never used the L85 series because they just didn't trust the reliability of them. Let me just try Polish M67 helmet without the other bit on it. Yeah, it comes up when I search M67 helmet, but not the other bit. But yeah. Isn't that just the one that's the SSH 60 or whatever it's called, rather than the SSH 40 like this one? It's just like the later gen of it. Some of them in the pictures actually look a lot like USM1 helmets, though. When like done like that. The AR is more accurate. Well, it depends. Do you mean the AKM or AK-74? But in general, the AR is more accurate and has a faster fire rate. But again, accuracy like that isn't all that important because it's a lot of the time down to how well the soldier can shoot. ARs are much better at keeping dirt out of the gun, but if dirt gets into the gun, you've got a lot more trouble than an AK. there's masses of pros and cons of AR platforms versus sort of AK platforms, but in general, if you're a soldier that knows how to maintain your gun, it wouldn't matter all that much. That's a very good point, Rich. They still sort of do, don't they, though? 7.62. But what's really confusing, because M just means model, and then XM, as far as I'm aware, meant like prototype model or experimental model, is when they'd have loads of things during the same period that were all M1s, but different things. Like in World War II, the US had M designation gas masks, which were different gas masks, just the same numbers because they were all different series. You had like the M1 Garand, M1 Carbine. You could have a whole sort of other M1s, or M1 Thompson, wasn't it? Which was the Tommy gun. There was loads and loads of stuff like that they did, which is really confusing when somebody just says the M1. You're like, which one? Well, the SLR there. There's also 2 swords there, a flail, Lee Enfield up there. There's a saber to the left as well. There. I doubt you'll get cancer, but you might want to see a doctor, Christian, just so they can do a long X-ray and try everything out. Cheers, Jasmine. It's a Polish old Cold War helmet. They might have a completely different firing system. I don't actually know, but obviously the PPSH is 7.62 by 25mm Tokarev, isn't it? The Thompson's 45 ACP. I can never remember what that is in metric, 45 ACP. But yeah, different calibers. What do you mean M4 is an M4 carbine? It's not the best accuracy gun ever made, if that's what you're trying to say. It's a pretty good modern assault rifle, but it's certainly not the most accurate gun ever made. This isn't a video game. You get very specialized rifles which are incredibly more accurate than essentially automatic rifles. What you were saying about watching the stream earlier, I could imagine that. I wasn't there. Where were you? I was watching Weapons and Stuff 93 stream. I wasn't in the control room. Well, technically a shotgun, David, which I'm pretty sure was a 20 bore, as in what you'd call 20 gauge in America. So nothing extremely big. But bear in mind, I'm in the UK and I don't even own any firearms. I mean, unless you class crossbows and that as calibers, because then they're very large caliber, but they're not exactly firearms, are they? That's cool, Lynx. You're going to shoot guns while riding a tractor, though? Like drive-by in your tractor? There's loads I'd love to get, Dylan, but unfortunately lots of them are stupidly expensive now. So what I kind of do is just every now and then look on a Deac gun site. If there's something that I think looks cool at a reasonable price, and I probably get it, but a lot of the time now it's like 500 minimum for even the most kind of damaged deactivated guns, so I don't even bother. The swords are all sharp. Yeah, exactly, Rich. There's a lot of problems with stuff like that, isn't there? Especially if you're in a country like this with high humidity and lots of rain. They're different levels of sharpen, though. Like the katana is really sharp. The saber's fairly sharp. The arming sword isn't all that sharp. Water name, plain tap water. Yeah, the problem with Deac guns here, 7.62, is they used to not be too bad, but as the government's put more and more restrictions on them, they've kind of just gone up in price because of that reason. And sadly, a lot of the time now, guns just get destroyed full stop, where they cut them open and put them in a crusher, rather than deacking them. And I'd rather they just deac them if they were going to do that. I mean, they could sell them to the US, couldn't they, for a bit of extra revenue or whatever. But yeah, like there was a thing that really pissed me off. We argued about this on the stream before, not arguing like, argued amongst ourselves kind of things, where the police had a load of Deact guns turned in and a load of other guns, very few live guns. And they were going, some of these are incredibly rare, like museum pieces. And then they fucking cut all of them up with an angle grinder and threw them in a crusher. And I thought, you fucking, cunts. Sorry for my language. But it's like they could have gone to a museum or they could have been sold. But no, they're rare. Let's destroy them. And what pissed me off as well is they were boasting about the amount of firearms they had handed in, but half of them weren't actually firearms. They were either replica guns, airsoft guns, or like crossbows and things like that. So they're not fucking firearms, are they? By a dictionary definition, they are not a firearm. Where's that Dylan? Over here, it's legal to own a Deact. Oh, I just did use the C word, so there we go. What's that gun there? Noskio. What's that one there? The SLR, what is it? A guy actually did get arrested for potato peel sadly. Yeah, I've got quite a few crossbows. I've got a load of videos on them. But just to show you quickly, because there's one I can get at without pulling a load of stuff out the way. There you go. That's quite a good one. This is my Jandao Chase Wind, which is like quite a high quality Chinese, Taiwanese crossbow rather than being one of the really cheap ones. So I've got a decent scope on there at the moment, and it's £150 draw weight. But as it's one of the split limb sort of designs, it means that it's a bit dusty, isn't it? There we go. As it's a split limb sort of design, it means you get more velocity and less friction from it. Let me get that back down without shoving it and damaging anything. There we go. That's cool. I mean, that's still quite a lot, isn't it, for an AK? But I suppose it's not compared to like buying a pre-made part kit, I imagine. Yeah, that's really stupid, Dylan, isn't it? Especially because you're allowed to own firearms more easily than we can in the UK and Australia. But lots of these laws never make sense to me. A lot better today, Delta, thank you. They keep going on about it, not a list, but nothing's ever happened, and I'm hoping it doesn't. Yeah, that'd be a good idea, Chris, actually. I'll do that at some point. What I want to do is probably use the ECBA armor for that when I can finally pick some up for a decent price. Because I think, for me, like I said before, I'd rather have primarily soft body armor, maybe with a small plate in it, than like a big plate carrier. Because for me, a plate carrier seems a bit pointless of the sort of stuff you might get shot at with in the UK. Because as I've said before, if somebody opens up on you with fully automatic weapons, you're going to be pretty fucked whatever if you're on open ground. But for the most part, if people were trying to shoot you with 22 long rifle or shotguns, I think a standard Kevlar vest with a hard plate over your organs is probably just better. The sad thing is, Richard, they don't even compensate a lot of people. It's just, we're not going to arrest you for it. You see, if this is the stuff that's not even illegal to own in the first place, like Deact guns or replicas, what they should do when the police have a buyback, I should put up a poster saying, the police won't give you any money for this, so if you have something that's legal to own, rather than the police destroying it, I will pay you for these items, and then I'll piss the police off where I increase my collection. But it's all legal to buy anyway. No, I've never really gone hunting, Nautilus. I mean, I haven't really got any objection to it, especially if it's like proper pest control, stuff like that, and you're actually eating the animals afterwards. But I wouldn't really get any enjoyment out of it, to be honest, because I don't find killing things to be fun. Yeah, it's strange, isn't it, 762? What you could do, Richard, is cut the plank into the shape of like a rifle, like those old training rifles where a couple of nations used to just cut a bit of wood into the shape of a rifle, like a kid's toy, just for people doing like the rifle drills. Like obviously not for shooting practice or anything like that, but it was when they couldn't afford rifles. They'd give like lots of recruits those to do the exercises with until they could issue them an actual rifle. Yeah, I've got a small mammals hut poster, but it doesn't mean I go and shoot them, does it? Like, I can own all these guns, but it doesn't mean I want to fantasize about killing people. Do you understand the difference? It's quite an obvious thing in my mind. like I said, I don't mind people hunting if they're actually doing it to eat or for a proper pest control reason. But just going out and shooting like rabbits or birds because I feel like shooting them is a cunt thing to do, in my opinion. Oh, sorry, I used the C word again, but there you go. I've got pretty strong feelings about that. I really like the Khyber Pass guns 7.62, where you see all those, like, you know, guns where people have made these Frankenstein amalgamations of, like, AKs and bolt-action rifles. They're fucking cool, they are. But, the thing you'll notice about me swearing is if ever I feel strongly about something, that's when the swear word tends to drop in, like a tactical F-bomb. Most of the time I don't swear. Because they used to say at my old job, if Liam swears, you know, there's really a problem. Because most of the time I'd never swear, but then, you know, sometimes I'd really start swearing, and then they knew I'd, you know, that something had gone seriously wrong. It's my stream, I'll use whatever word I want, thank you. Yep, there's a couple of bows behind me. The big one's nearly as tall as me, and that's I think it's got like a 32-inch draw or something like that. It's like a mid 20-pound recurve, but it's a really long recurve. It's almost like a longbow sized recurve. And then there's a few other smaller bows that you can see behind there as well. Yeah, I think a few people have done that. A lot of people just cut open the exhale valve bit. So, you know, you actually breathe in and out through the exhale valve, but it kind of just looks like you're breathing through the filter. You know, it's a cheap way of doing it, but personally, you're sort of destroying a mask doing that, aren't you? Yeah, in terms of replica guns, I don't have many, as I've said before. I've got the Denix Colt Peacemaker. The trigger pull isn't too good on this. It doesn't matter because obviously it doesn't shoot. But, I've got this one. And the one Bart and Max got me years ago as a present is like the Griswold. This one's got a really nice trigger on it, actually. But, you know, like the old Confederate copy of the 1851. Favorite revolver? Well, do you mean like if I could own any revolver in the world, or just out of the DX or replicas I've got? I've only got replicas. Blades and bows when they still existed, Compot, and sadly they don't anymore. Somebody asked it, called Dr. Terminator Show, but I've never got round to it yet. When it gets to winter time, I might be able to do it, because the problem is at the moment, where it's summer, obviously you end up not getting enough darkness each day to actually do a video on night vision again properly. So I'd like to, if I do that video, actually film some footage for it. I have to look at what that acronym is, because when you say that, I think of Command and Conquer. Oh, night visions, is that? The only night vision I've got is like an old-fashioned thermal infrared one, or it's a modern one, but you know, like what they'd call a Gen 0 night vision, where it uses an infrared thrower and then it sees infrared. I think Battle Orders and a few other places still do replica revolvers like this, but in terms of yeah, blades and bows, sadly they're out of business now. So yeah, you can't get them from there. In the UK, you can also buy air guns, and air guns, unlike airsoft guns, are not restricted. So just to show you. For example, I've got this one. I've done a video on this anyway, but this is my Beretta PX4 Storm, and it's the Umarex replica of it, but it's like a licensed replica. So obviously, it's an air gun. It shoots pellets or BBs, you know, at quite high velocity because it's not an airsoft. It's not designed for shooting at people. It's like target shooting. But with things like this, you can get these, you know, for much more reasonable prices than DX guns. So if you wanted to, you could do like dry firing practice with these and everything. Right, cheers, Nick. What, you mean like a Lee Enfield like I've got? They're 400 odd pounds, I think. Well, they were when I bought them. They're probably like 700, 800 now, aren't they, knowing how the prices have gone up. Right, Geiger counters. That's a Polish radiation alarm, that big one there. Then that's a Polish DP66M military Geiger counter. And then that one is a mini monitor, one with an alpha probe. That's more like a lab one, but that's like the best Geiger counter out of the ones I've got. I've also got SOXO1M in my drawer. The thing is, Chris, I don't think it'd be very good for that, just because although it's a decent velocity, it's still like the 300, 400 feet per second thing with metal pellets. And you need CO2 for it. So, because it's, you know, one that uses the, you put the CO2 cartridge in, if I get the bit right so you can see it. You put the CO2 cartridges in there. So obviously it's not very good in that sense of for like a shit hit the fan kind of thing. I mean, whether or not you pulled this on somebody and they thought it was a real gun, they very well could do. I don't know, but to be honest, if I was using a thing, I just want a full power air rifle, like a 22 or 177 air rifle, because that would at least do more damage if you had to shoot a person or animal with it. A dosimeter, you mean? I've got two dosimeters. I've got the, as I was saying, the one that's both a Geiger counter and a dosimeter, which is my SOXO1M. It shows you both the current radiation reading you're getting and a cumulative dose. And I've got an old Polish DKP50, which charges via the DP66M. So how this works is you just simply look through it next to a light source, and you've got a Rontgen meter. Sadly, this won't really show up on a webcam, but I'll just try and get it there just in case you can see anything, but probably won't. There you go. You could just spot it there. Yeah. But you've got like a little needle that moves across. But I can't really even get this to go up on my own because this radioactive stuff I've got gives off such a low amount of gamma radiation, it's never going to move the needle, really. If you get one of these kind of meters that has milli-Rontgens on, you might be able to see it move, but with one of these, it's never going to move. But yeah, you can charge it via that, and it just sticks in, and then you zero it using the dial on there. No, I've not got either a pump shotgun or a replica one. I've actually got an airsoft pump shotgun, but it's two-tone, so it wouldn't even be a replica. Yeah, I'll show you the liner from this helmet. I showed it earlier. It's basically just pretty much a copy of the German World War II ones, where you've got like a shoestring kind of boot lace with a load of leather pads. It's a pretty standard helmet liner for this sort of era of helmets, but there you go. There's one bit, look, they forgot to lace up. Tell you what, I'm just going to lace that up now. I'll put the webcam down so you can see what I'm doing, potentially. Yeah, there we go. Right, so what I'm just going to do is untie this lace. Hopefully it comes undone easily. Yeah, it does. I might do a different knot as well, actually, when I re-knot that. But... so let's get this lace undone, if it's going to undo. Hopefully it will. There we go. And then what I just need to do is, with this bit, have they done the thing where they always go through the top? Okay, so let's put that one through there. Hopefully it'll go through. We might need to just get like a screwdriver. Now that's done it. Right, so that's that one there. So that goes there. And then all I need to do is retie this up. So, get that bit off there. Not sure really how tight I should do it, because that will affect the like sponginess of the helmet, depending on how tight I do the bow or whatever. I won't double knot it. For now, I'll just do a single knot in case I need to change it again in the near future. Let's just tuck that underneath. Right, there we go. Right, that's got all the bits now on the liner doing it. So let's put it back around this way. Yeah, it's a bit spongier now. Yeah, I do lots of things like that. I was saying, apologies if I'm swearing every now and then, but if I feel strongly about something, I will swear. But yeah, I do just sort of military history videos on lots of surplus, to be honest. That's mainly my thing. Oh, I've got a new lighter as well. Well, when I say new, it's an old one, but I'll get that out to show you. I'll do a video on it next week, although the video won't be live. What was the revolver question? You have to post it again. I didn't see it. But yeah, there we go. That's how it's meant to be, the liner. The lighter I got, where has it gone? I had it yesterday. Where did I put the thing? There it is. Another old nice vintage lighter. This one I got working with very little modification needed. So it's just a gas style one. Fills up with standard butane, which is what I did. It's got the adjustable screw thing on the bottom for altering the flame size. Piezoelectric. So there we go. It's got a nice sort of checkered design on it, like a bit Art Deco, whatever you want to call it, Art Deco, Art Deco. If that focuses. If I put that closer to the camera so my face isn't as visible, it might focus. Maybe. Maybe. Oh, it's sort of doing it. It's like a Ripley kind of wave effect on it. And you've got the nice sort of bit there. Yeah. I think China still uses Ghost. I like collecting them. I used to smoke, I don't anymore, but I like collecting lighters. They're pretty fascinating things. Most of these are like £10 if you buy them on eBay, when there's people selling them on Buy It Now or like make an offer for retro lighters. The other one I'm doing a video on next week is this one. The All Export one. I need to fill this up again. I might just replace all the cotton wool in it, because the cotton wool in it isn't very good now. It's so old that it's not holding the fluid in very well. But yeah, because you can smell the petrol in there, it's just not working. But yeah, it's one where you've got the kind of push down wheel that you flick. See, that makes a spark, but it won't light now. Sort of an interesting wheel design. I've not seen many like this, where you have to push them down and then flick them. It's like a safety. But yeah, similar mechanism to a Zippo, this one, because most of it is done underneath like a Zippo is. But I was saying I want to pull this. There we go. It's like very much a shoestring wick on this one. But yeah, I'll probably bin this bit now. Put some fresh cotton wool in it for the video. And then redo the wick. Yeah, that should be alright if I replace the cotton in it. Yeah, lighters can do a lot of things, especially more modern lighters that don't leak fuel everywhere. I'm not really interested in the modern warfare stuff, to be honest. I like the older Call of Duties, but the modern one I have no interest in. But yeah, a really good lighter I've got. This is the one I keep on my keys. Is these, the peanut lighters. These are really worth getting if you haven't seen them before. It works like a Zippo. It's just a liquid fuel lighter. But it actually has O-rings on it. See that? So when it's screwed up, these last like 6 months to a year. So the wadding's coming out a little bit there. Let me just shove that back in. But yeah, you can see the bit to get at the flint now. Exactly like a Zippo. So if I put that back in its case, this is just a really simple, there we go. It's just a really simple lighter, like liquid fuel lighter, like a Zippo is and that. But these, you can fill them up like maybe once or twice a year, because unlike a Zippo where they've got the O-ring, you can just keep this on the key ring and it's a lighter that will, you know, last forever basically. All right, cool. What you should do, Compot, if you've not done it, is watch some of my lighter collection videos, because you'll see some cool lighters in there, and then you might want to pick some of those up. I don't have anything really rare or whatever. What I like doing a lot of the time is looking for cheap mass-produced lighters and buying them and evaluating if they're any good or not. Biggest lighter, all right. Whether or not you class this as a lighter, I don't know. Because it's more like a little mini blowtorch, but one of these. So you basically got the flame adjustment there, so you can have a little flame if you wanted to, you know, and then go all the way up and down. This also has an adjustable oxygen thing, so you can have less oxygen going in or more. So if you've got no oxygen going in, there isn't a flame, but so you can basically change it from a jet to a like conventional flame. Yeah, that's probably the biggest lighter I've got. Mark 7s are alright. They're not as good as Pascats because supposedly they're not completely Kevlar. They've got ballistic nylon in it to make it a bit cheaper to produce. But they stop shrapnel right and stuff like that, and they're very comfortable Mark 7 helmets. Yeah, it'd be a bit big, wouldn't it, for lighting a cigarette? One of those lighters. For camping, I've got a very good survival lighter for camping. As I said, the peanut lighters are very good because you can keep them on your key ring. Let me see if it's easily visible in my box of lighters. Hang on. Here he is. So I've got one of these. These are pretty good. So I think this is called something like the Universal Survival Lighter. So it's in a waterproof case, and it's like bright orange so you can see it. You can put a lanyard there on it if you want. So you undo the thing there. Then you can get the lid off as you heard it pop, so it's airtight. And there you've got your thing. So you can pull this out if you want to have a look at the actual lighter thing. There's the lighter mechanism. I don't know if I need to put some more fuel in there. You can obviously adjust the flame and everything underneath. But that's the mechanism. So it sits in there with an O-ring, so it's airtight. I might need some more gas in there, actually. I haven't refilled this, bear in mind, in years. I might just make the flame a bit bigger as well. If I can, easily. Can't really be asked to get a screwdriver out or anything. Let me just do it with a lock knife. It might be set nearly fully on anyway, because it's not turning much. I already said the Mark 7 helmet's alright. Which one's that, Matthew? Is it top 10 scariest gas masks? Let me have a look at my channel. That's good. The problem is my air rifle scope one no longer gets many views because YouTube demonetized it. And then, of course, where YouTube's demonetized it, they don't share it very much anymore, and I don't make anything from it. So thank you, YouTube, for that. Yeah, let me just sort the videos by views. Hang on. Most viewed. Oh, yeah. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, in the day. That will hit 1 million. Yeah, 998,206. Oh, brilliant. Thank you for reminding me about that. Well, how I refill these, look, I'll show you. For the jet lighters, you're meant to refill them with better butane. So with the cheaper refillable lighters, you don't want to do this, but for these, you want to get like high quality refined butane, because otherwise you can jam up the lighter quite easily. So all you do, put that in there, push that down. Right, that should probably be filled up now. Yeah, you can see there's a lot more fuel in it now compared to what there was. We'll give that just a moment to go back to room temperature, because when you refill a butane lighter, they end up being a bit cold. So let's put him back in his case. I think it can technically go down either way. It can go either way. I'm going to put it this way just because although it's not as easy to do the thing, I prefer having the flame further away from the lid. But that should work any moment now. I can hear the gas coming out. It might be the piezoelectric's not working very well. This definitely used to work really well. I'm not doing a very good demonstration of this, am I now? I was like, this is a really good lighter, and now it's not even going. But yeah, let me put the gas down a bit in case it's making it too cold. I'm just getting the knife back out. No, I've not got a PO box. I don't bother trimming lighters. I just adjust the wick to what seems to be a good size flame for what I want from them, from the old-fashioned lighters, if that's what you mean. You don't need a specific size, really. It's completely up to what you want. Let's leave the flame like that. Right, let's try this. I wonder if the piezoelectric stopped working. No, the piezoelectric still works. It's very strange. No, I'm assuming that's one somebody's painted, is it? We'll turn the gas up a bit more. There we go. It lit then for a second. There we go. It's lit now. That would be fine now, yeah. But yeah, so these are good lighters, as I was saying. Obviously, it didn't work all that well on the video to start with. That's all right, Mike. Don't worry. It's been quite a good stream, this one, actually. I'm going off in a few minutes anyway. But yeah, like you're saying, for camping, these lighters are very good once you get them working. Because obviously... yeah, they're completely waterproof and everything, jet lighters, so they'll work in the wind. The thing is, most Soviet night vision things, 762, are still Generation 0 night vision. So you'd be much cheaper just buying a modern Gen 0 night vision. Because Gen 0 is just the stuff that uses infrared. What you really want from night vision is like Gen 1, 2, or 3, where it's light amplification, rather than just simply shining out an IR light and picking up the IR light. I've not got any old-fashioned table lighters, to be honest. I find some of them look quite interesting, but I've not got any. Oh, cheers. Thank you, Lynx. I appreciate that. Yeah, I'll be off in a moment. What is the oldest thing I have? I've definitely got some pretty old stuff that's like... oh, not even in terms of militaria, but I've got some old kind of like Victorian era. It's not really technically mine, but we have some like mantelpiece kind of thing from there, like old, you know, like China figures and all that sort of stuff. So that's really old. But in terms of militaria, I've got a lot of World War II or interwar stuff, so like 1920s, 30s, and 40s. Sometimes I go through periods of liking to drink, other times I don't drink for ages. But a decent beer, decent bitter, decent spirits, I'm not really that fussed as long as it tastes all right. Anyway, yeah, that's this lighter. And just before I stop the video, there's Chinese copies of this lighter now, but as not jet lighters, sorry, arc lighters. So yeah, it's pretty much the same thing case-wise. Open that, press the button, flicks open, and then it's an electric arc. So this isn't really as good for camping, but you can, you know, charge it via USB or whatever. Yeah, they're pretty windproof as well. Yeah, they are windproof, but yeah, the only thing with these, obviously, is you need to charge them via USB, and you've got a limited lighting area. I used to have a model train kit, an old Hornby one, but I've never made a model train. I've got a reproduction thing of the, what's it called? PH gas hood. But I don't have any authentic World War I stuff as far as I'm aware. Arc lighters can set stuff on fire. They're very efficient at lighting stuff if you can get it inside the arc. The problem with arc lighters is if you've got an arc lighter of a very limited space and what you want to light is bigger than that, you can't light stuff. Favourite thing in my entire collection? Oh, very tough one. I'm kind of tempted, as much as it's probably on my Deac guns, like probably the SLR or something. I'm pointing the wrong way. Probably SLR. Maybe even that Geiger counter there. because that is really fun, that Geiger counter. Sunday evening, probably, David, because I don't stream Saturdays because I'm at work. But yeah, hopefully Sunday evening. Can't tell you the exact time yet. Also, Mike, if you're still on and didn't see, there's the proof of what I was doing when you were streaming on YouTube last night. I ended up cutting my hair even shorter behind my ears there, because I always get little bits of hair that I can never get out of the main clipper. So I even got the essentially like 0mm face shaver and just went around the ears like that. So I'm technically more bald there, as you might be able to see, than on top. So it's kind of like crew cut, but completely short crew cut. I'm not going to tell you exactly where I work, but I work at a garden centre. Yeah, I like Half-Life and Half-Life 2. Being bald is convenient for a lot of things, especially washing your hair. If you have a shower when you're bald, you literally go in, get the warm water, don't need shampoo, just do that over your scalp, nice and clean. All right, cheers, Jasmine. But yeah, for years now, I've just been shaving my hair every month, 2 months. So I let it get quite long this time, but then yes, I was like, no, I'm going to shave it off. But it's just convenient, I find. Well, this one originally had a marking on it and it's gone now, but there you go. It was being sold by a guy that was selling loads of surplus Polish helmets, so I doubt he switched this for another model, SSH40. Anyway, I'll go off now. It's been over an hour. Thank you very much for the donation links. Thank you, everybody, for chatting. It's been a good stream, much better than the one I was doing Wednesday, where I was in pain and people were trying to irritate me. All right, see everybody. Thanks for all joining in. It's been a good stream. And don't forget, there'll be a video at 5 p.m. tonight, a regular video. Let me tell you what the video is, actually, before I go off. Right, tonight's video was today, August the 23rd. It's back at least one page. Bear with me a moment, and then I'll tell you what it is before I go off, just so you know what you're expecting to watch. It's the restored Italian, potentially World War II lighter. So if you like lighters and you like vintage lighters, it's a restored World War II lighter. No, I've not got any smoke grenades. Right, see everybody. Good evening, good afternoon, whatever. See ya.